Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that, like that poor child in the front row, is about to be crushed. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined by my co-host, Ben Simorka.
Squish.
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS. Hambone, you ever made contact with a player? You've been to a lot of games.
Yeah.
I know you're front row only.
Yeah.
You're offer only, front
Right.
row only.
Right.
Have you ever been squished? You ever made contact with a player?
No, never even brushed up against a player. I mean, maybe unknowingly, walking around in life. But no, and I've definitely never been squished, and I've definitely never had a child of mine, I guess, kind of thrown them to the wolves like that parenting couple decided to do.
Got to get out of the way.
Oh my God. The father, presumably the dad of that child, just kind of throwing his hands up and backing away.
You got to get out of the way. I mean, he's a big guy.
I know. So, there was this very famous home run. It might have been a Cardinals player that hit the home run. I can't really remember it off the top of my head right now, but there was a pretty famous home run. It happened a famous clip that was going around years ago of a home run in the Diamondbacks park, Chase Field, dead center. And balls don't get to hit this far. So I think there was a little bit of a surprise element, but there's this clip of this guy and his girlfriend or wife or whatever. They're standing next to each other. Somebody hits, a 450-foot home run, and the lady gets hit in the chest. And in the clip, you just see the boyfriend stepping back with his hands up. And ever since that clip made the rounds, my wife and I have always joked about, I'll never be that guy. I will never be that guy that's on ESPN backing away from a fly ball while my partner gets laid out.
Crushed.
So even if it's me not catching it, if it's just me being in between the ball and her, that's kind of the deal that we've made.
So chivalrous you are.
Thank you.
But modern gentleman.
We have not discussed the prospect of a 6'4", 200 something pound third baseman. Lunging at her. So I think we're going to have to kind of litigate this scenario. But I will say that the way that the gentleman handled it the other night was probably not the right way to do it.
Probably not. But, I don't know. I've got kids. But I'd like to think, I think everyone likes to think they'd be so fast. You'd get in between and push them out of the way or shield your child or whatever. I think every parent thinks that's what their instinct would be. But when you do have a monster human just sort of falling across your entire section, I don't know. I might squeal and hop away too. I'd certainly like to think I'd dive in front of my kids, but I don't know.
So Arenado is listed at 6'2", 215. Me and him are essentially the exact same height and weight.
And I don't let you near my children. So
you don't. Yeah, if I'm diving at you, running at a good clip, the other thing is being able to predict that is the way in which he's going to finish the play, because that I think is probably the hardest part. You're sitting in front row. I'm sure you're probably expecting foul balls and things to be coming your direction to some degree. Yeah. You're not expecting Arenado to use the fence or the net as a trampoline for him to jump into.
He went for it. He really went for it.
Really
I don't think you expect that until it's that last second, right? You cannot imagine he's going to go full force into the stands. I don't know. I'm probably crush me, daddy. I'm diving in front of him.
Yeah. Well, and it's a shame on Arenado for not aiming at the father rather than taking a pop shot at that kid.
You got to go for the child. You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess you have kids, they just bounce off of things all day.
Back.
Right?
If that happens to me, I'm sore for days.
Yeah,
totally throwing off my entire schedule.
It's going to lead to bad sleep. You got stuff to do.
I got 2 podcasts, Hambone. I can't be being crushed by an athlete.
You got fences to paint.
I've got the evidence on me.
All kinds of shit going on.
Painting a fence today. Latex paint, kind of hard to get off.
Weird. That's a shocking development. Did not expect to learn that today.
Mm-hmm.
All that being said, what a play by
Yeah.
Arenado, who has been on fire defensively this year. He's really putting together a great year. But I think that just his kid squishing moment was really just the icing on the cake of what's been like a great month of defense from him.
Yeah.
Month plus.
He does seem fully back defensively. Offensively, I don't think we're ever gonna get the peak Arenado again. You don't expect that from a 33-year-old, but he's certainly looking a lot better than he did last year and even the year before. So yeah, I mean I think Arenado has definitely not been the problem on the team and has made this team. It's been one of the fun things to watch, which is why we were all pretty happy. We all rode the roller coaster of emotion with Arenado. But we said from the very beginning and feel this way now, especially that like, if he stays on the team, that just means this team is a lot more fun to watch. And I didn't expect it to be including, crushing children into the, grinding them into their seats. But that's fun too. Did you see that picture going around? Like, it must be like a grab from the video. It cannot have be just like a still picture, but it's like,
oh,
it's
right down the barrel of
right
his
down the barrel.
his barrel.
Yeah, his legs are spread, but his little head is just poking up, making a silly little face right at the, just like, how did I get, it's like freeze frame. You may be wondering, how did I end up in this place?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Nate. You're front row. You're there with your family.
Of course.
Arenado or another Cardinals player squishes one of your lovely children. Are you asking for more than the ball? Are you like, hey, I need a signed bat. I want cleats. I need free seats. I need free nachos. Are you leveraging your daughter's squish for anything?
Honestly, knowing myself, probably not. I certainly would be like happy with whatever they get. Maybe if like it's an open sort of thing where they're like, can we get you anything else, sir? I'm probably like, yeah, sure. I'll take a bat or something like that. But I'm probably not like putting the squeeze on them. You know what I mean? Like, hey, that's all I get. Hey, come on. I'm probably not squeezing them for more.
That reminds me of I went in high school. I was working for I don't know if it matters if I say this or not, but I'll just be a little. I'll put a little veil over it. But I was working for a large electronics store, and it was we had a bunch of seasonal employees around the Christmas time.
Sure.
And you get some like pretty wacky people that come in. I'm in high school, so I'm just kind of doing my thing, selling Xboxes or whatever. And this seasonal employee, for whatever reason, he loses his temper on the floor. He doesn't want to do what his boss is asking him. He takes off his like kind of little hip walkie-talkie that you use to like coordinate with customers and stuff on the floor. He chucks it at his boss. His boss instinctively dodges it, because you get a walkie-talkie thrown at you. You get out of the way of it.
That guy's been training for that moment his entire life.
He just sits at home and makes his children throw walkie-talkies at him.
Yeah.
So the walkie-talkie is dodged by the guy who's paying attention to the altercation. It hits a customer, a woman standing behind him in the side of the face. And I believe there may have been blood. At the very least, there was a scream that I remember, for the rest of my life. And rather than the boss, he immediately went into problem solving mode. And I think that he ended up giving them a free television and surround sound and maybe some more just so that she wouldn't sue. So I'm saying this is, you can use these types of things to get.
So so that to me is a fundamentally different thing. If I get hit in the head by a large electronic retailer employee throws and hits me in the head with a walkie-talkie, I'm maybe squeezing a little bit at that point.
What's the difference between a Cardinals employee throwing his ass at your child and an electronics store employee throwing a walkie-talkie at your head?
Well, I feel like there is and maybe there is like a contractual side to this. I don't know, like a waiver element of it. But when you are acquiring seats in the front row of a baseball game of all sports,
Yeah.
you are to some degree signing up for things to be flung at you. And while it's rare for a person to go into the stands, and as a fan of the team and as like a fan of Arenado, you're like, hell yeah, make that play. I'm happy that he did. I'm not happy that he crushed my child, RIP, but at least the play was made, right?
All right. I didn't think you were going to give me a serious answer, but yeah, I believe there is a waiver on the back of the ticket you purchase. If you get hit by a bat or a ball, it's your fault. Yeah.
If I get clunked by some Ben Simorka out there throwing their walkie-talkie because they can't handle it, and I got blood on my face, I'm taking the TV, and then I'm also suing.
I would like to be very clear. I did not throw the walkie-talkie. I was merely a bystander.
One time I also worked at major retailers and I had a shelf fall on my face. So that was fun. It was
ouch.
I was pulling it's like a manual forklift sort of thing. You know what I'm talking about? Like it has the two tongs of a forklift.
Oh, dude, I used to rip those in the back. Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. You can ride them like a skateboard sort of
like
thing.
A little horsey. Oh, okay.
Skateboard. Yeah, like a little horsey. You can ride them. Just like what we do with little horsies. And I was pulling it and I hit a side cap or an end cap, and I turned. I'm like, oops, turn just in time to look up at like a 6 or 8 foot shelf falling forward, hit me right on the face. Big cut right down my forehead. I'm bleeding down my face. This was like 11 p.m. because we were closing, and my manager was pissed. He was so mad at me for a shell falling on my face. I'm like, dog, you think I'm happy about this?
Yeah, I did it on purpose.
Yeah. He's like, I got to fill out so much paperwork now. I'm like, God. I've got a hole in my head.
Yeah, I'm leaking.
Yeah, I'm leaking. I don't like this either. Also, I'm taking your ass to court.
There you go. And that's how you got everything you have today.
Yep. That's why they put me on 2 podcasts.
That's right. Wow.
Well, anyway, hey, if you're out there and you've got a wacky story from working retail, reach out to us. Let us know.
Hell yeah.
Should we talk about this last week of Cardinal baseball?
We are bursting at the seams, Nathan. The show is packed. We got to get into it.
It's a packed show. Naturally, last week, sort of the thesis of the episode, the theme of the episode rather, was like, where has all the power gone?
Right.
What's going on? They certainly need to hit more home runs. We recorded that game before the doubleheader on Wednesday, or that episode before the doubleheader on Wednesday, where the team hit something
amidst
like 6 or 7.
Doubleheader, I believe.
Yeah, you're right. Amidst the doubleheader. But before that 9th inning or what, it was late in the game.
Yeah.
And the team hit like 6 or 7 home runs that day, the day we recorded the episode saying, where's the power gone? And it's been overall a pretty good week of Cardinal baseball. They are
a great week. Yeah.
Yeah. They're in a 4-game winning streak. The Wednesday game is starting in about 9 minutes. To very specifically stamp what time we are recording this episode.
You're going to find us.
But it's still a small sample size of games, but it's been a fun week of Cardinal baseball. But there is a fair bit of news that we want to get to, and then we're going to talk about the sort of some of the more specific performances. First on the docket,
you really did a great job of setting up the episode right there. I can't wait to get into this. Let's crack it open.
Wow, pro level stuff here, front row shit. Well, Hambone, why don't you take the first little bit of news here?
What? Okay. Yeah. All right.
Wow. He's stumbling.
All right. The Cardinals have, and Ali Marmol has said that they are going to move the left-hander Steven Matz back to the bullpen after his dominant performance. Pretty much he hasn't done anything wrong all year. I think I was looking at it earlier. He is still yet to give up a homer this year, which, obviously that levy is going to break at some point, but he has been nothing short of awesome. And I guess I'll just preface this with this is the kind of guy that is going to get traded to the Yankees, who are they're
Yeah,
struggling for starting pitching, or the Dodgers, who of their 80 starting pitchers, they're already losing. What I think they have three or
they're
four guys
they're
down
on a
already.
they're on a 4-man rotation right now,
Yeah.
which is the opposite of what most teams are trying to do.
So Steven Matz pitching really well is really, really good for the Cardinals for multiple reasons. Whether or not this 4-game streak or 4-game win streak never ends and we need a Steven Matz, or if you want to move him, he's been nothing short of great. He's been fun to watch.
Yeah.
Obviously has overplayed my expectations for what I thought was going to happen this year. So, it's all fine. I guess like my one criticism to this move, I guess, I can see it either way, is that the Cardinals just always seem a little stuck in the mud when it comes to moving a Palante out of the rotation, or whoever you want to pick on, and putting a Matz back. I think that they would probably say it's because he has experience and he's done this before and he feels comfortable doing it. But that's kind of my one, like, oh, why don't we just put him in starting rotation? He's pitching really well. He's arguably one of the best pitchers on the team right now. But
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah, I think this is more a product of contract status and the quote unquote development year that the Cardinals are in right now. So if you think about, Sonny Gray's not moving out of the rotation, Fedde's not moving
No.
out of the rotation. Michaelis, we've beaten to death the horse of our opinion on Michaelis, but right now there's no reason to move him out of the rotation, right? And so then that
Leave
just
that
leaves
horse
you,
alone, am I right?
giddy up, partner. Time to saddle up and throw some fastballs.
Ooh-wee.
So then that leaves you, if you're sticking with a 5-man rotation, Palante and Liberatore. And I
Yeah.
think we know what we feel about Liberatore, especially after yesterday's
Holy
game.
cow.
And then Palante, I don't know. This I think is a good decision from a player development standpoint, because Matt's one way or another is likely not on this team either August 1st or, October 3rd or whatever the last
Right.
day of the season is.
Yep.
And so like we came into this season thinking Palante is a lock for the rotation. You and I were both pretty hyped on him. If you look at his underlying stats from 2024, it certainly looked like he's one of the future, young stars on the rotation. That has not been the case. Nick Pollock from Pitcher List came on and poured some cold water on that, and so far he's kind of been right.
Mhm.
Palante, from a performance standpoint, is kind of the easy one to take out of the rotation.
Right.
But then to what end? Like I don't really see him in the bullpen, at least not right now. And we need to know what our 2026 rotation is going to look like. And so I think Palante, it's kind of like, well, let's just keep throwing him out there until you are for sure he's not a starter.
Yeah.
And he's dealt with injuries. This is another way also to manage his innings limit, so that I guess if he is, like, if we are suddenly competitive and he is really good, maybe you want those innings in August and September from him in the rotation rather than right now. So let's preserve him a little bit. And, so I get what, go on.
I'll add to that. I mean, the Cardinals have been piggybacking a lot of their starters recently, and if Palante only goes 2 or 3, you go pull the Matz lever. If a rainout happens and Liberatore it doesn't want to go after the rainout, you bring in Steven Matz. If Miles Michaelis gets shelled, bring in Steven Matz. There's a lot of other use cases here.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder, like, if you are kind of trying to be an effective team and also market Steven Matz to the rest of the league, maybe you're doing both of those at the same time by using him in this fashion. I don't know. I don't know how, like, I assume most teams are really just looking at the stuff, and they're kind of looking at the results, and they're not really caring so much about the usage, because they'll use that pitcher however they think is the most effective way. So probably as long as he's getting outs and not hurt, probably not hurting that value at all, I would guess.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised to see him used in the 8th inning of the recent game, but also the bullpen has been mixed results. So having, it was a close game, and having Matz there to go in and be good for an inning and feel pretty confident that he was going to be good for that inning, it was nice, and if that was Palante, you would be a little bit like, oh God, I hope it's working what he does.
Yeah.
He's still leading the league, I believe, in ground ball percentage.
He
So
sure is. He is good at that. He is
yeah,
really good at that. Like better than
yeah.
everybody in baseball at that. It is kind of wild.
It makes you think if maybe he'll end up being one of those like the Cardinals have flirted with this idea for a while over
Seth
the
Maness
years.
type
Yep,
guy.
yes, exactly. The double play specialist, which
Yeah.
like I don't think is really a long term. No one else ever. I've never seen anyone else really do that. But with
No.
such an elite outcome of ground ball percentage, like if there was ever gonna be a guy who's gonna do
Right.
that sort of thing, it's
The
him.
argument can be made that if you need a ground ball, there is no better pitcher than Andre Palante.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder did the three batter rule kill that? Right, because it kind of has to be perfectly lined up now to where you have a guy on first or I guess any reliever
You
coming
bring
in to
I
relieve
think
another reliever.
yeah,
It
you bring
probably
in the
isn't.
guy who's the reliever who's coming in and he's loading the bases or giving up hard contact or something like that and has the
And
double play set up. I still like, given the option, I would rather take the guy who can strike somebody out over the guy that gives up ground balls. But
right.
yeah, I mean, that can be valuable sometimes. Like we watched Seth Maness make, hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that for at least a couple
Sure.
of years. So
Sure.
that's a thing.
Yeah. So I think this will all be rotated, and there will. I'm frankly surprised that we're sitting here on May 7th, and our aged rotation is still it's still what it was on day one. There's been
Yep.
no real issues. So but something will happen. Someone will be too ineffective, or someone will get hurt, and or we'll just re-enter into a period in the season where a six man makes more sense, and Matz will probably be back in the rotation.
Right.
Well, we had a conclusion to the Ryan Loudis move from last week. The Cardinals acquired everyone's favorite player, cash considerations, is back with the St. Louis Cardinals in exchange for Ryan Loudis with the Dodgers. So, the common joke here will be, can't wait to see Ryan Loudis closing games for the Los Angeles Dodgers this fall in the World Series.
I mean, if they didn't have, I mean, the joke's there for a reason. It's because they do it so consistently. Is Ryan Loudis the next guy? Maybe. Will the Dodgers get more out of him than the Cardinals? Probably. I would definitely bet on that. They've clearly demonstrated the ability to do something there and develop and fine tune and accelerate these players' development. So, it's always, we see with Tommy Edman, who is a real player, who we acknowledge as a good player and have
We've
always
always
acknowledged
loved
that way.
We've always loved Tommy Edman.
He's looking like Lou Gehrig from the right side of the plate. They found something there. They'll probably find something with Ryan Loudis, and they'll probably keep finding things with other players that other teams are either undervaluing or not getting enough juice out of, and we're all fine with that, right, Nate?
Oh, we love it, don't we, folks? They weren't able to do it. They weren't able to do it with Alex Reyes, which was, I think, the most surprising out of all of them.
I think the fact that he just couldn't stay together was the biggest problem.
Yeah,
poor guy.
Yeah.
I still
Tommy Edman also on the IL. So
they are.
Yep.
They are good at developing. They are good at getting the most out of a player. They are unbelievably bad at players getting hurt. I don't know if it's something that they're doing or if they are the super quick with the pull to put somebody on the IL or what it is.
Yeah.
But it seems like they have more injuries every year than every other team in baseball.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that's something we could look up, but that's not the sort of stuff that this podcast does.
Why would we? That's the Dodgers. Who cares?
We can definitely speculate wildly.
Yeah. They're bad at something. They have to be bad at something.
It could also be, Hambone, that just we know every single player on the Dodgers, and so so whenever someone goes on the IL, you're like, oh man, that guy. Whereas like anybody on half of it, you're like, I don't really know who that guy is, right? But the bench players for the Dodgers are like great players.
Their IL, I'm just going to go through it really quickly, Nate. Tommy Edman, Teoscar Hernandez, Tyler Glass now, Clayton Kershaw, Emmett Sheehan, Blake Snell, Gavin Stone, Kyle Hurt, River Ryan, Brewstar Gratterall, Michael Grove, Eduardo Henriquez, Michael Kopech, and Blake Trinan.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
good.
crazy. They're
That
all good
beats
players, pretty much.
that beats the Pirates in a game. That beats the Marlins in a game. The Rockies don't even show up. They're so intimidated.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about the Cardinals a little bit more. The Cardinals have sent Ivan Herrera on a rehab assignment with the Memphis Redbirds. He has played a few games. It looks like he's got 5 games so far. He is crushing the ball. He is hitting 412 batting average with a 647 slug. He's got 1 homer. Can't wait for him to get back. He's got a 183 WRC plus, obviously in limited playing time, but nice to see that he likely hasn't missed a step or is really taken a step back at all.
Yeah, I know the collective. We were all worried about a knee injury for a catcher that just you never know, right?
Yep.
And the Cardinals have not been the best at both talking about injuries, projecting lengths of injuries, all of that. It's always, they tend to drag on is how it feels. So it's been very nice to see that it sure seems like this was what was originally stated, definitely an injury. He's not going to be on the minimum, but he's also not going to be gone for an extremely long time. And to get those early results tells you that he certainly seems to be fully healthy, which Cardinals could use. I mean, Pages has been good, but Ivan is a different level.
Yeah. Are you excited for the Joel Pozo thing to be done?
I don't know. I mean, as far as a third string catcher goes, he's been fun. He's a fun player. I think I like him. But there's a reason why he was able to be picked up for nothing and was the third string catcher on this team. So I will be happy to go back to. It's more like I'm more excited to see Ivan than I am to lose Pozo. He's been fine.
Yeah, I unfortunately learned about a Joel Pozo suspension that happened when he was a minor leaguer with I believe it was with the Texas Rangers. Have you read about this?
No, I have not. So I'm ready to be.
I don't even want to talk about it because it's really bad and unfortunate, and I don't want to bum everybody out. But if you want to go be bummed out, go Google that. But he seems like he was 19. You make mistakes, but I don't know. It unfortunately kind of soured the taste in my mouth a little bit on him. But people can change. He's older now. Life's weird. But we can move on from that topic. Mason Wynn left Sunday night's game early after injuring his ankle. Looks like he is going to avoid the IL. He's actually starting the Wednesday game, which is nice to have him kind of back. So we'll see. He's batting second now. It looks like he's breaking out offensively a little bit. So
yes,
all really good news. But we got to see a couple of games of our favorite utility player, Jose Barrero, and he looked really good. Looked really good on both sides of the ball. He's like toolsy
part of the power
hell.
of this week. Yeah, I know. It's so early and such a small sample size. It's hard to get too excited or really. Totally fine to get excited about it. I'm certainly was. He's a big part of a couple of these wins. It's too early to tell, is this something that's going to be sustainable? And frankly, it's going to be hard for it to be sustainable because he's about to not have, now he does not really have a position.
Right.
But you can certainly see why they called him up, why they made the move. We talked about it last week, why him over Sajasi, and part of it is that expedience of needing to get an answer on him. And so far, what more could you ask for? I've been I was very excited when the Cardinals picked this guy up, and then he had a very good spring, and here he is continuing to be pretty good. So we'll see. Throw him in the pile of interesting, still young to remotely young guys that can play a couple different positions. He's in that pile now too. We'll see who breaks out. But
I,
yeah,
I
it's
think
been
that's
fun.
the fun part too, is that the Cardinals have already used him at second base, shortstop, and center field, in every position
Yeah.
up the middle. And obviously it's only been a few games, super limited opportunities. But he's looked like the real deal in the outfield and in the infield. I think he looks like a really good player, at least on the defensive side.
Yeah.
He's a little swing happy, but he's got power to back that up. And I don't know, having a guy like this on the bench with power and real defensive versatility, I'm not complaining about any of this.
Yeah. I do want to go back to Mason Wynn real quick because you mentioned the breakout offensively, and yes, I think it's here now. The injuries, you never know if that's going to mix someone up, if that's going to get them off of their trend or not. But last year we were all very happy with the offensive output of Mason Wynn when you considered his defensive productivity, and he only had, I say only with all due respect here, as a 103 WRC plus at the
Mm-hmm.
major league level last year, which you'll take all day. It's sort of the Yachty thing where like he's so good defensively that if you can just be league average offensively, like you're a very valuable player.
Right.
But over his 98 plate appearances, he has a 111 WRC plus, and that includes that pretty rough first couple weeks of the season. He's walking at a higher clip. He is striking out at a higher clip, but that is something you might be okay with, a little bit of a trade-off for power. And overall, just it looks like a really good approach. So I'm pretty excited about, I mean, even a 110, 115 WRC plus from this guy with that defense, you know,
I mean, that's a
you got
guy that
yourself,
can make an all-star team at some point.
yeah,
Maybe not every
yeah.
year, but especially when things start clicking. Also, he's 23 years
He's
old.
23, right? So
So,
he isn't even to his like big boy years, right?
yeah.
Where that power might continue to tick up, a la a Yachty. Might have a couple 20 plus home run years in the tank. I would not be too surprised. I'm not expecting that anytime soon.
No.
But he has also said he wants to steal 20, 30 bags this year. Haven't really seen that yet, but that can also be part of the injuries. Like it's hard to steal when you're maybe not feeling 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I think the sky, his potential can go so high. Excited to see what he does, but nice to have him kind of hitting, and the whole team. Let's get into it. The whole team's kind of hitting.
Yeah.
You kind of started the episode off like this, but we were complaining, like you said, we were complaining about the Cardinals' lack of power. They hit 11 home runs since we last chatted. I think I said last week that they were 26th in baseball in home runs. That jumped them up to 18th place in MLB as far as total team home runs hit. So it's funny, this early in the season, what 1 week can do and how much that can change what the team looks like. But seeing him start to go off, hit the ball over the wall, seeing Contreras starting to hit the ball over the wall, it's a lot of fun. Burley has been breaking out a little bit. I mean, the whole team is most of the team is kind of hitting right now, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know it. This show has maybe not been the kindest to Burleson's long-term placement on this team, but you can't deny that he's been at the center of this team being pretty good over the last week. The power, he's finally got some barrels, he's got some home runs,
Yeah.
a couple key hits over the last week. So he's looking really good, which is not surprising. We've always thought he does one thing and he does it really well, as he hits right-handed pitching, and he's been doing that. So, which is good. If the Cardinals are going to be good this year, they're going to be competitive this year. Burleson is likely a big part of that. Now, I still will say, like, where does he fit long term? Is he the right solution for this team, or is him hitting really well going to open the door for a trade for a piece that sort of fits the current puzzle a little bit better? Maybe. But at the end of the day, we're all happy to see him hitting well again. He's as a person on the team, he's one of my favorites. So it's fun to see him doing well again.
Yeah, and I mean, he's kind of our primary DH at this point in the season.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's getting some starts at first base. So if he's not hitting, he's not doing anything for the team. So, yeah, of course, I'm happy to see this, and I'm happy to see his production improve. It does feel like, he could be a Yankee at some point.
Yeah.
Feel that kind of move makes a lot of sense. But yeah, of course, I'm always happy to see one of our players. And also, yeah, like I think you're kind of hinting at this, but he's just likable, and
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, he's hard not to root for.
Well, it's the like goofy guy. There's so few goofy guys in
Yes,
baseball. Like Lance Lynn was a goofy guy,
right,
and we love him for it. The Cardinals attract these like serious. We play to win the game. Thank God we're all here. What a blessed day. I'm just trying to support my team, sort of thing.
right.
Which sure, great. But we like a goofy guy.
It makes what we do a lot more fun to be able to talk about guys that are interesting and not just like
Mhm.
drywall.
Yeah.
But yeah, rooting for him. I think we also need to note before we keep going is that the Cardinals are tied for third place right now. It's a huge jump.
Wow.
They've been stuck in fourth place the last few weeks. And as of our recording time, they are tied. The Cardinals and the Reds are both 18 and 19, 4 games back of the Cubbies. And it should be noted that the Cardinals still have a positive run differential, not by much, but their Pythag says that they should actually be 19 and 18. So this team is, again, it's probably a 500 team.
Yeah.
If things break right, they get lucky. Maybe they're more than that. But they're not as bad as where we felt the last 2 weeks. It looks like they're digging themselves out and kind of, we're just riding the waves of this season, this early season. We're still like, a little over 30 games in. It's all fresh,
Yeah.
but
Well, we,
kind of
we
fun.
said it. We've been saying it all season so far. This is what a 500 team looks like, right?
Yeah.
You get these streaks of success matched with streaks of poor play, and ultimately you end up right around 500, plus or minus
Yeah.
a few games. But I don't know. Maybe there's a few breakouts happening. Maybe there's a few things happening that will lead this team to be more on the positive side.
Yeah.
It has been a little surprising that so far we continue to talk about it like it's a major problem, but the reality is the starting pitching has not been the problem of this team. It's kind of been consistency of offense and the bullpen. And the bright side, I guess, is that the offense and the bullpen, at least on paper, were two of the things we were least worried about when it comes to this team being good. And it was the starting pitching that we thought was going to be possibly the Achilles heel of this team. So the starting rotation being pretty good, and some guys like McGreevy up now, like you can kind of see where this could continue to be at least reasonable. And it does seem like it's going to come down to, can the bottom half of the lineup start to put things together? Is a Jordan Walker going to do anything? Is a Gorman going to come back? Those kinds of guys, like that's going to be what decides if this team, and of course, if the bullpen can, come back together.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's why, what they say, Hambone.
That's why they
Play the game.
okay, there we go. I knew it was something like that. Yeah. This team. Well, let's talk about something positive. Let's talk about Willson Contreras, Nate.
Yes.
He has
Yeah.
been mashing baseballs. He has been having a lot of fun, a lot of luck. He's WRC plus over the last 2 weeks is like in the 240s or something like that. And this is,
wouldn't you know it? It turns out maybe 3 weeks of ineffectiveness does not negate nearly 10 years of being a very successful MLB level hitter.
yeah. And he's doing that Willson Contreras thing where he's hitting the ball extremely hard. He's hitting it to all fields, and some of those balls are starting to go over the wall, and we're all having fun. We love it, don't we?
Oh, we love it, folks. And I think he's looked great as a first baseman.
I do too.
He's
I love
made,
when he's running back for the fly, like the infield fly ball, how he flicks his cap off like a catcher would. Yeah.
Old habits die hard.
Well, you were talking about Burley and kind of being a goofy guy. Contreras is kind of a goofy guy. He's kind of in his own little world all the time, which is also fun. And him hitting, him starting to be the leader of this offense makes it all go down a lot smoother, Nady H.
Well, I mean, he's got 1.4 WAR on the season already, so out of nowhere, he's one of the team leaders there too. So
Yep.
that's we've talked about it before. It's kind of hard to do at first base. You have to really hit well to do that, and he's turned it all around.
Yeah, now we get to kind of sit back and see if he's going to kick it into, we talked about this, like, is he going to kick it into another gear offensively now that he doesn't have to squat and game plan with the pitchers? Now that he's hitting, he's healthy, everything's falling the way that we want it. Is he going to hit that new gear or just stay at this high level for a while? I'm still hopeful. I want to see it. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I love the idea of Willson Contreras and Nolan Arenado leading the 2026 Cardinals. Offensively, still, even at their advanced age. Advanced age, they're in their early 30s, but baseball advanced age.
1 foot in the baseball grave.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's talk about anything else you want to talk about as far as the offense goes. We talked about Burley,
No.
we talked about Mason, we talked about Wilson, we talked about Barrero, who's been a lot of fun.
I think we're keeping it positive right now. So let's stay with at least when we talk about the offense. We're sticking. Those are all good stories.
If you want to keep it positive, let's talk about Michael McGreevy's performance.
Yeah.
He comes in.
Yeah.
He relieves Andre Palante, who is somewhere around 3 innings or so. And they bring in Michael McGreevy, who was kind of being brought in because of the rainouts and the doubleheader, and the Cardinals are really kind of playing chess with all their pitchers right now. He throws 5 2/3 innings. He gives up 1 hit, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, obviously no earned runs. And the Cardinals leave him out there. This game was a 1-run game. They let McGreevy take it all the way to the end, get his first major league win. He looked great. He looked like a big league pitcher, getting out a pretty good offense and making it look easy. He looked, and there's just no notes. Everything was good.
I've been saying it from the beginning. Like I understand the decision making of the Cardinals from how they set their opening day rotation, but one of my bigger concerns has been: are you going to inadvertently sort of subdue what seems to be a full-on major league level breakout from Michael McGreevy? So I was very glad to see that when they brought him in, they let him. Not only did he look great, which he did, they also let him cook. Hambone.
Oh,
they let him cook.
Num 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 num.
Is that cooking?
Oh, that was me eating what he was cooking.
Oh, you're eating what he's cooking.
I'm eating it up.
Got it. And totally reasonable exchange. And he went the full right. He basically was the starter.
Yep.
He did a starter's workload and he looked great. Got the win. I don't know what you do with him now. With you got Matt's in the same boat. All of a sudden, we got too many starting level guys. It's too early for a trade. We've talked about trades already, but no one is trading right now. So even if the Cardinals were actively trying to, it's very unlikely anything's going to happen. So I guess you just keep finding these spots. Maybe you're piggybacking McGreevy with Palante every game, where you're just like, Palante will go as long as he can, and Matt and McGreevy, you're cleaning up the rest. I don't know, but he certainly seems ready to be pitching bulk innings at the major league level.
Why not go back to the 6-man rotation? Why are we jettisoning that idea already? I know that we have more off days coming up, and we went into the 6-man rotation to kind of facilitate those specific 2.5 weeks or so. Why not keep it going? What are we doing here? I think there's value. Miles Michaelis was speaking about the value of the 6-man rotation, that extra day. I think what he was saying was that it means that either your bullpen day, you can go harder and recover quicker, or you can take a lifting day and go harder and recover over more time. But it seemed like everybody was loving the 6-man rotation. And with McGreevy, are we at the point where he's forcing the issue? I don't know. But that performance against that offense, how do you not want to see more of that? And how do you not want to see this kid continue to develop? He was awesome. Also, I love that he looks like he's 12 years old, striking out players like Juan Soto and Pete Alonso. It's just added fun.
Yeah.
But give me more McGreevy, baby.
Yeah. I mean, six, hell, let's do a 7-man rotation. Why? I mean, honestly, why not? Right? Like, you've got all these guys that you want to see innings from. You're worried about, length for guys like Sonny Gray. You don't want Fedde to get hurt because you want to trade him probably. You want to obviously give him enough innings to look good out there, but yeah, I don't know. Spread
Yeah.
it out more, I guess that or more piggyback days or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, it's a weird, good sort of problem to have that is an extension of the Cardinals holding on to guys for too long. But I don't know.
They're just kind of slow. They like, I think that's my number one criticism of Mozeliak in these final years is he's slow. He's slow to do things. And I understand patience is a virtue, and you got to let things play out and blah blah blah. But move. Let's go. Let's do the thing. Pour into your young pitchers, develop them against major league hitting because they're getting it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the same. We've talked about it already too much this season, but it's like, what do you do with Miles Michaelis? He's being effective,
Yeah. He is.
So you can't deny it that he's been pretty good. There was that thing going around. I always love it when people do this. It's like, if you take away Miles Michaelis' start against the Red Sox, then he's had a very effective season. It's like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
If you take away the part where he's bad, he's pretty good.
Me too, dude.
Same.
You ignore all the crap I've done. Yeah, I look awesome. I'm doing great.
Yeah. And I know the argument is it's only one game, right?
Yeah.
And he's pitched way more than one game, but
Yeah.
that's how he also is, essentially directly responsible for a full loss.
Right.
So, you can't just take away a game from a guy's repertoire, especially when they've only resume when they've only pitched 6 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, let's take away another guy's game. Graceffo. Let's talk about Gordon Graceffo. If you take away his performance against the Red Sox, where he gave up, I think it was 7 runs in 3 innings. Yeah. He's been great since then. He had that 5-inning appearance against the Reds. Was that last week? And then he is kind of fully transformed into reliever. It looks like the Cardinals are going to use him as a reliever going forward. And while, it's only been 2 appearances and we don't really have enough to talk about seriously right now, he's looked really good. And the stuff is playing up to a degree that I did not expect. I mean, we saw him hit 99. The slider is sitting at 90, 91. I did not expect that from Mr. Graceffo, and I apologize to him for underestimating what he has.
Never apologize.
That's tight.
I that's my new thing.
Cool.
I'm never sorry.
Right. Why you're yelling at me right now? Leave me out of this. Whatever weird shit you're going through.
Yeah, he I think we all would love for him to still be on the starter track. But there is the sort of thing of, what do the Cardinals need right now? And maybe he can be a very effective bullpen guy for a year or two, and then when things look different, he can get back into the rotation. But right now, when the Cardinals need bullpen, he's a guy, he's young, he looks really good out of the bullpen. Why not? He got the save. That was an interesting sort of choice. Maybe it was maybe a little bit of like, hey, sorry, we left you out to die there in Boston. Here's sort of a high leverage, sort of, defining moment for you to feel like you're a part of the team sort of thing. Or maybe it's just,
I think this is when you're talking about that specific outing of him going out and getting a major league save. I think that's what we're talking about when we're saying development year. All right, let's go put Gordon Graceffo in a position he's never been in, and against big league hitters, see how he performs. Did great. He looked good.
Yeah.
I think that's, maybe Gordon Graceffo is a closer at some point. Maybe he's a starter, but you're getting out there and you're seeing what he can do, and I'm all for that. Do more of that, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's looked good so far. We'll see. But it's nice to see him out there.
It is nice. Speaking of, we just got young pitchers coming out of our ears right now. Matthew Liberatore, we kind of referenced it earlier, just had a dominant 7-inning start against the Pittsburgh Pirates. It should be noted, not the best, most scary offense in baseball, but they're still big league hitters. He is
Yeah.
sitting as the sixth best starter in MLB according to Fangraphs WAR right now. He is tied with Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who has had a dominant start. And I just think it's important. I'm just going to keep talking about Liberatore until he gives me a reason not to. But it's important to kind of note how successful he has been in MLB. Looking all around baseball, he has been one of the best starters in the game over 41 innings so far this year.
Yeah, and 41 innings, it's getting up there,
It is.
And like you said, sure, it's against a bad team, but anytime you can go out there and throw 7 innings at the major league level, that's success. And yeah, he's kind of doing everything. The strikeout rate isn't enormous, but it's not bad. He has a 3.8% walk rate, which is elite. So how can we be anything other than super excited and starting to pencil this guy in as like, upper middle, maybe top of the rotation.
Yeah.
What going forward?
What really got me excited about the game that he pitched against the Pirates, going back and watching the replay and seeing how he was getting guys out, is that his fastball was electric in that start. He noticed that, or Pages noticed that, or whatever. It doesn't matter. They noticed that they were getting swing and misses on that. And if you go back and look at those strikeouts, I would say anecdotally half of them, or maybe more than that, were on that fastball, and he was doing it a little high, a little outside of the zone, and people were flailing at it. Obviously looking for the breaking ball or looking for the changeup. And I think that's a huge sign in development for Matthew Liberatore. Hey, this pitch is really working for me today. I'm going to use it. I'm going to make it play up my other pitches, and I'm going to get a bunch of strikeouts on what is my best pitch today. And he's got the potential to have, 3 to 4 plus pitches. And if only one of them is a plus pitch that day, acknowledging that and pitching to that, that is
it out. Yeah.
Big league shit right there. That is what we need to see. And I'm geeked about it. I'm really, really enjoying what he's doing.
Well, one last sort of fun note on this too is if you peek under the metrics a little bit, you could argue he's been getting a little unlucky too. His xFIP is lower than his ERA. His FIP is considerably lower than his ERA. So this isn't a matter of small sample size. He's got a low BABIP, something like we talked about Kyle Leahy, who is still doing it and doing it very well, by the way. But like Liberatore, everything is backing it up. He looks good across the board. And what you're talking about, the mental side of it, the game planning side of it, which you can't really measure, that also looks good. So it just looks by every unit of measurement that we have, it looks like a full-blown big league, major league breakout. And it's exactly what this team needed. More than anything, the Cardinals needed a starting pitcher to break out and be really, really good. And it's 40 innings, but that's a reliever's entire season.
Right.
so he's good. I'm excited. Add in the pedigree, something to be hyped about. And also, let's think about this. Why this year? Why is he good this year? Should we maybe be a little hyped about some of the new staff that's surrounding these players? Is this a hint of the Cardinals being good at developing pitchers again? Is this something?
Are we actually developing a pitcher right in front of our eyes?
Yeah. Is it actually happening, or is it just, what is he now? 26?
He's 25 years old.
He's 25 and he's just finally hitting that, he made it to the majors at 22 years old. Most people don't.
Yeah.
And, we say it on the show all the time. Of course you want the 22, 23-year-old who comes up and blows everyone away, but most people take a few years.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just what this is. And, he's on his own and he's smart and he's capable, or maybe the Cardinals development staff is starting to work.
Yeah. And what's also exciting, and I just looked this up because I wanted to be sure, is that the Cardinals have him for, I think it's 5 years after, maybe including this year, but he becomes a free agent in 2030. So
yeah,
this is a guy who's
here.
He's going to be here. And well, I'm just really excited about all that.
Yeah, he basically has one big league season of experience so
Yeah,
far. He's got 220 total innings at the major league level. Of course, 86 of those were last year.
right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, can't wait. I mean, it's at the point now where I watch all the Cardinals games, but when
Sure.
Liberatore is pitching, it is a must watch, and I'll go back and watch the replay and just soak it all in because
Yeah.
he's really
Well,
been something.
it's what we want to watch this year. If they're not going to be good high level, then we're at the level where we're watching the games for individual performances.
Right.
And it's been fun.
So I guess we're going to end on a bit of a sour note, but I want to get your thoughts on this. Are you worried about Erick Fedde? So far, he is 7 games started, 37 innings and 2/3. He is he's walking 5/9. He is striking out 5/9. His ERA is 4.78. His xFIP is 5.68. He hasn't been great.
Yeah.
Are you worried about it? Is this just small sample size? It's early. He's getting going. What are your thoughts on Erick Fedde's kind of stumbling out of the gates so far?
A little worried. Yeah. I think we're all hopeful that he's good for a number of reasons. And if you zoom out enough, this year's numbers start to kind of really look like what his numbers looked like when he was a middling starter with the Washington Nationals before he went abroad and came back, sort of what he was with the White Sox last year and what raised his stock so much. So is it a regression back? Was last year the outlier? And now he's regressed back to the mean of his general career numbers, or is it a shaky start and he'll bounce back to what he did last year? It's hard to say. The numbers would indicate the output has not been there. The underlying numbers would indicate that output's not been there. But I don't know what you do with that other than just keep throwing him out there.
Yeah.
And hope he regains it, because he looked really good last year all the way up to the end.
Right.
Some of his best starts of the year were at the end of last year. So it's not like the Cardinals bought high on a 2-month heater and then he's been bad since then. He was good pretty much all year last year. So
Yeah.
it's too early to say like he's bad now or he's what he used to be, but it's certainly worth concern.
I think, I'm feeling that. Obviously, it's at least worth noting. One thing to note is that even in his worst year with the Nationals, when he was getting his ass kicked, he was never walking guys at this rate. So I'm hoping that it's an adjustment needs to be made, and he can kind of lock in, be more in the zone, be more effective in the zone, and then all the numbers will start to tilt the right way. Because it's just hard to be a starting major league pitcher when you're walking that many guys per 9. So hopefully makes the adjustment there, gets back in, and we get going. But yeah, I think it's like, we're orange, we're not red on the the fire chart or the Smokey the Bear fire chart or whatever. But it's not great. I don't love to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you use I was thinking like beach flags, like red flag is like tornado, like hurricane.
Oh. Well, I live out here in the forest fire country, so that's
and I, of course, live on the coast and have to deal with it.
The coast of the mighty Mississippi.
Hey, we get impacted by hurricanes, kind of.
You do?
It was just the rainiest month in St. Louis history.
Was that
April?
Hurricane related?
I don't know.
Okay,
Maybe. Probably not. I don't think they're any. I don't know, man. I don't know.
All right, move the show on, Nate.
Yeah. All right. So good week of Cardinal baseball. We'll see. We're going to talk about the upcoming series. We're going to do some league news and whatnot. But before we do, we want to remind everybody that this show is listener supported on Patreon. Patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Look, if you've been enjoying the show, if you want to support it, want to support it directly, you want to join a wacky cast of characters that are hanging out in the Discord all day.
I thought they were rude
baseball.
dudes with attitudes.
They are. It's rude
Yeah.
dudes with attitudes, and they're
And
also
also
a
a whack
wacky
pack.
cast, a whack pack.
Isn't that what Howard Stern called his little group of people?
Baba Booey. Yikes. We're like too young for Howard Stern.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
We love a Baba Booey though, don't we, folks?
Shut up.
Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Patrons of any level get a few things: access to the Bird Scored, the aforementioned Whack Pack, the rude dudes with attitudes. They're hanging out. You can hang out with us, talk baseball all day in there. You also get access to early episodes. I'm typically getting these out on Wednesday. For scheduling reasons, we like them to come out consistently on Thursday, but I very regularly have it available on Wednesday for our patrons. Which you could sign up for that too. So patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. If you want to support the show in a different way, consider leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. It helps a ton. And of course, still share with your friends and family. That's the way most podcasts are spread these days. So Hambone, where else can people find us online?
Yeah, you can find us on the socials at Talking About Birds. We're on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. Come look at our faces over on those platforms. You can listen to this show on Spotify if you prefer. And if you do, I guess make sure to tap those stars there as well. You can listen to this show or watch this show. We upload full videos of the podcast now on youtube.com. Talking About Birds over there. You can find all of the podcast information. We also have shirts for sale, all kinds of crap at talkingaboutbirds.com. You can email us at talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And of course, you can call us and leave a voicemail or send us a textual message to 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-4737.
Hell yeah. 848-48-BIRDS.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what have we got in store for this week? Bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
We get to see a new team. The Cardinals are at the Nationals 4-3. Head into DC. What a cool place to be right now, DC.
Super chill. Everyone's having fun there.
It's a good place to be.
The Cardinals are going to be playing the Nationals, and they're going to be drawing Mitchell Parker, Trevor Williams, remember him from his Marlins days, and Mackenzie Gore on the Sunday game this weekend. And if you haven't been paying attention to Mackenzie Gore's breakout, wowie, wee wow. He has been great. He is fully locking into all that prospect pedigree that had him so highly touted. He is here. He is that dude. He's doing it, Nate.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that has been able to strike people out kind of from day one, but hasn't been able to do the rest. And he's finding that control and looking very good. You know, the Nationals are not really a good team, but they have some of the youngest, most exciting players in baseball on that team.
They do.
James Wood, also full-on breakout. This guy, I believe, is a future MVP contender.
Yeah.
Maybe even this year. He's so good. Already at 10 home runs, handful of stolen bases, hitting for average, kind of doing everything. CJ Abrams, you might remember the whole thing last year with being benched and demoted as like a disciplinary thing. You know, if that made you think he maybe isn't that good, you're wrong. He's great. You know, they've got a lot of holes in their lineup still. They got a lot of holes in their rotation. We just heard a couple of them. But the highs are very, very high on this team.
Yeah, I was watching a replay of James Wood last night, and I think he hit a 116-mile-per-hour line drive home run. I mean, the guy's power is, I mean, it might be some of the, you know, under Aaron Judge, some of the best in baseball. It's pretty amazing. I also want to call out that Nathaniel Lowe, who is their first baseman, has had a really nice start to the year. Josh Bell has, power potential, and Dylan Cruz, who hasn't totally gotten going yet, but he is another one of those guys that could be one of the better outfielders and hitters in the game. He's still only 23 years old. If you catch this team on the wrong day, they might pound you. But there's a lot of holes. There's a lot of youth. You expect the Cardinals to go in and kind of I don't know, take at least, 2 of these 3 games.
This is a team that the Cardinals should beat. If they
Yeah.
are a good team, then they will beat them. But we don't know what flavor of Cardinals we'll get this, in this 3-game set.
I'll also note that Paul DeYoung, who has been their third baseman, I did not see this, but he is on the IL right now with a fractured nose. So that sucks. Sorry, Paulie. How does that happen?
What happened there? What did he get?
I don't know. We'll have to look into that. But yeah, again, other than that Sunday start against Gore, you really feel like you have an advantage over this team, and hopefully they go in and stomp them a bit.
Did you see that? I don't necessarily recommend watching it, but did you see the Tyler Callahan?
I have that on the league news. Yeah,
Okay.
Don't watch that video. If you have not seen it, avoid that video.
Yeah, it was. Well, we'll talk about it in a minute. So after that, the Cardinals.
So really quick, I was able to find it. The Nationals called DeYoung to undergo surgery on a broken nose after he was hit in the face by a pitch. So that missed my news feed, but.
I don't know how you ever play baseball again after getting hit in the face by a pitch. I feel like I'm so terrified of that now. Like, for it to actually happen to you, I feel like I would just be like, all right, I'm good, man. This has been fun, but I'm gonna peace out.
Yeah.
Like, thanks, y'all. I gotta get face surgery.
Yeah, nose surgery. Maybe he'll look beautiful after it, though. Maybe he'll have a perfect little nose.
Rhinoplasty.
Do it. Do the bit, Nate. All right. The Cardinals will then go to Philadelphia.
Citizens Bank Park.
That's what they call the bank, where they will draw Christopher Sanchez in game 1, who, if you remember, he kind of kicked our butts. He had a really nice start. Then the Cardinals will get Jesus Lizard, Jesus Luzardo, and Aaron Nola. The Cardinals obviously had a pretty good time against Nola last time. Jesus Luzardo is putting together a Cy Young type season so far. Yeah. He's looked really good. So, I mean, we've seen this team. They're really good. Schwarber is still Schwarbering. Bryce Harper is getting hot. They're a really good baseball team. They're probably going to make a deep playoff run. So, I don't know what else to say
the Cardinals
about these guys.
did win. The Cardinals won their series against them before.
They did.
This is harder going to Philly. You got to look out.
Keep your head on a swivel.
But man, they did not face Luzardo last time, and the Phillies, they're a good organization. They went out, they targeted him from the Marlins. He had a pretty rough year last year, but it's mostly injury related. They've made a few tweaks, and he's back to looking like one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's striking out everybody. He's good. So
still only
Cardinals
27 years old. It's really annoying that they have him, but it was a good pickup.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I don't think there's much else to add to the Phillies. We know this team. This team hasn't really changed all that much. They're good. Edmundo Sosa, so on and so forth.
Yep. Well, the Cardinals have taken a 2-0 lead against the Pirates. How about that?
That's
all right.
Timely update there.
All right, let's check in on some league news.
Well, yeah, let's talk about, Nate already brought it up, but the Tyler Callahan sold out to make it a spectacular play. So you did watch this replay, Nate?
Yeah, so I didn't know that so this is not interesting to anyone, but I have Matt Olson in like a whole bunch of fantasy leagues. So I watch a lot of his at-bats and I just kind of follow him. I really like him. And it was like Matt Olson hits an inside the park home run. This guy is
fast. How does he do
that?
Not.
Yeah. So I wanted to watch it. I didn't know. It was like in the moment. I watched the replay.
Well, I think that replay should be titled differently. I think for us people who don't want to see things like this.
Yeah. And some controversy on the call too. I was interested on your take if you saw this, because Callahan full send, makes a catch, slams into the wall, drops the ball because he fully fractured his wrist on the wall. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And they called it not a catch, drop ball, in play, and basically Matt Olson trots around. He stops running hard at like third base because, Callahan's rolling around on the ground, and it's just one of those things. You're like not going to
I
celebrate
mean,
run it. You know,
his arm was floppy. That's
his
how
arm's
bad it
going
was.
a way you don't want your arm to be going.
It
Yeah,
was
it's
really
like
bad.
yeah, and I kind
Ugh.
of thought it was a catch.
I
It
thought it was a
seemed like
catch too.
it seemed like he had it, and then once he was like, okay, it's good. I'm gonna drop everything because my entire body is in emergency mode. But they called it just a full on inside the park home run for Matt Olson, which of course I liked as a fantasy owner of Matt Olson, but I was like, oh, that's a bit of a cheapie. But
Yeah.
you got to feel for the kid though. Just called up,
It was his third big
and
league game, I think.
yeah. Put in the effort and he has paid for it. I mean, that's season ending
I,
likely and hopefully
they're
not
saying
career
only 2
ending.
months.
I just can't believe, well, I guess people come back from wrist injuries sometimes quicker than you would expect, but
Yeah.
they often have long tails,
Yeah.
right? Um, there's so much of hitting a ball is in your wrist. And
Yeah.
so we'll see if he can recover. I hope he does. He certainly, was doing his job. But man, it was brutal.
Yeah, and it's also he's like not a highly touted prospect. He's 25
Right.
years old. He was mashing in AAA, gets his opportunity, and then to see it kind of turn out that way, it's just a huge bummer. So I hope he gets healthy
Yeah.
and comes back soon. But yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you. I think it was a catch. And I think, man, it's just, this is a freak accident. This doesn't happen very often. But what a dark way to score. I don't know what else you do, right? You keep rounding the bases. It's still a competition and you do what you got to do. But just like
it's not Olson's fault. Yeah.
the image of Olson rounding third and Callahan in the outfield there, just like trying to hold his
Rolling.
arm together. Oh, God, dark.
He should have dove into the stands and crushed a child.
Well,
Like a real major league level player.
softer landing. Hitting a child rather than a concrete wall. Yeah. Anyways, there's a couple other injuries I wanted to talk about. Angels placed Mike Trout on the 10-day IL, which, I don't know, Nate. I just want to see 130 games of Mike Trout. I think we're at the point where, even though I don't know if you saw this, but it happened while running the bases, so maybe DHing wouldn't have saved this problem. But I think we need to put him in a plastic box, let him DH, and that's it. I just want more Mike Trout. And I fear that we're at the point where it's just never going to happen again. It is so consistent. Him getting injured, his injuries always take longer. Him coming back this year is still questionable. It's just a bummer. I hate seeing it.
People have made comparisons to King Griffey Jr., which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
Mike Trout was on pace to be possibly the greatest hitter of all time, and injuries have stopped that. He plays enough to continue to accrue some counting stats. He's obviously first ballot Hall of Fame, inner circle level shit, but it seems like we're never going to get the full season that we want. And I wonder at what point does he start to consider, you see these guys, sometimes some of the best of all time start to get injuries and they're just like, all right, I'm done. I'm 34, I'm 35. I'm just going to retire. It's not really worth it for me anymore. What else do we need to see from Mike Trout? What else does he want to continue? It's a very personal decision. Who knows? I don't want to say one way or what he should do, but you start to think, is that going to be the sort of thing that he does?
And I'm sure Mike Trout would never say this out loud, but I do wonder if he thinks about the idea of all right, this team is in last place. It's 6.5 games back in the West. The West is okay. We're always going to be in last place. How much am I going to go through for a team that is just seemingly never going to be in the playoffs, and there's not a pathway that a reasonable baseball fan could see for them being successful? I wonder if that is, in the back of his mind as well.
Well, I wonder too if he makes one more. I could see let's finally be the guy who demands a trade.
Yeah.
And let's give it one go with a legitimate organization.
Yeah.
That, we don't know anything about behind the scenes stuff here. Maybe they also have a shit medical team and just cannot set him up for success, and a team that is good, could manage him in a way that would allow him to be productive for a full season. It certainly seems to start at DH. Like he just needs a DH and then go from there.
I think it is plausible. You're not making that big of a leap to say that the Angels might not have the best medical staff in baseball, because they seemingly don't have the best of anything in baseball, other than Mike Trout, who is one of the best. But sad to see Trout go down. We also have Tristan Casas, who you and I talked about a lot in the early or before the season started. Looks like he is going to miss the entirety of the season due to knee surgery. Big guy, torquing on that knee. He had a thing with his rib last year. If you remember, he missed a ton of time.
Yeah.
Just another one of those guys that you'd love to see him get 150 games played, but it's not going to happen. And it kind of causes an interesting situation with the Red Sox. Some people have been saying that Trevor Story should move to first base, which I find puzzling. But, the way that their team is organized and Christian Campbell and how athletic he is and, is it Marcelo Meyer? Is that their shortstop?
Yes.
Shortstop
maybe prospect. Yeah.
It's an interesting story. I'm kind of curious to see how they end up handling this and who goes where. But
they've also got Roman Anthony, the top prospect in baseball by many lists they have, and he's doing pretty well in the minors. So I don't know. They could move someone else from the outfield to first and bring up Anthony. They have a lot of options. From a Cardinal lens, this did spark a pretty good little conversation in the Bird Scored about, the Cardinals have some people who can play first that would maybe be an interesting target for an earlier season trade.
Yeah.
Centered mostly around maybe Luken Baker would look good as a Red Sox. He hasn't really done what we had hoped as a Cardinal this year. But it's still very small sample size. And the idea of they got a pretty good offense. He doesn't need to go in and be the center of it. He doesn't have to be the cleanup hitter or whatever, like the Cardinals keep putting him. They can slot him down.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah. And, if it doesn't work, they've got Casas coming back next year. They do have other options, but maybe it's worth a flyer and trading for Baker or even Burleson, it's an interesting opening there. They're a competitive team.
They are. Yeah. But bummer to see good players or potentially good players go down. I don't think we talked about this last week, and I can't remember the day that this happened, but I'm sure everybody who's paying attention to baseball saw the story of the kid, last name Markwood, who fell at the Pirates-Cubs game, who fell off the 21-foot stands out there in right field. He seems to be stable all of a sudden. He took his first steps. He is walking around. I don't know if you saw this fall, another piece of morbid internet video. I would avoid this one as well. But just the fact that he is moving is great news. And that, I don't know, that's one of the scarier things I've seen online in quite a while.
So this one I did not watch because I am definitely not one of those type of people who seek out watching horrible shit on the internet.
Yeah.
For my entire, even back in the day when like rotten.com and all that was
don't invoke. Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
Was really big. Like I've always been like, I don't want to watch that. I don't need to watch that. Like I don't need to see. And so when I see like these headlines of like exactly what this is, and until very recently, we kind of all thought he was either had died or was going to die from it. I was like, I don't need to see this. I don't want to. So I've not watched it and I don't intend to. But I've certainly read about it and I'm very glad that he seems to be okay. Sounds like a freak accident. It sparked a lot of conversation about alcohol at the ballpark. He's under 21 and he had a few beers. By all accounts, he was not hammered. It just seems like it was just I don't fully understand how this could even happen, but it certainly doesn't seem like it was like a dude on a rager who like completely lost all sense of self and just fell. But it was probably involved to some degree and he's under 21. So there's some question about liability there and whatnot, but I don't know what I don't know what a stadium does, how you can really manage that, but you got people falling in, you got players falling out. Makes me wonder if the league is going to start moving towards more netting and things like that to prevent any and all like direct. We got the guy who tried to grab Mookie Betts. We've like maybe it's just random actions group randomly or whatever. Seems like there's been a little bit more of it recently. Definitely headlined by this guy falling.
Yeah. I'd like to think that that's not necessary, and then just basic human preservation, self-preservation will kind of take over here. And
yeah, I mean, if you think about it, every single day, there are thousands of fans lining very high walls at baseball games. And I don't know of, I'm sure this has happened before. I don't know of one off the top of my head. So certainly it seems
I know
very,
somebody
very rare.
somebody fell into the net behind home plate at a ballpark a couple of years ago, but the net caught them and they didn't fall. What if you
Okay.
fell off the Green Monster?
Well, there's of course the one Josh Hamilton, like 15 years ago, but that was in the that was fell from the upper deck to the lower deck, so that was just in the stadium.
Yeah.
Woof. But yeah.
Don't just be safe, people. Let's end.
Hey, here at Talking About Birds, we think you should be safe.
I know that you don't have any empathetic bones in your body, so sorry for trying to just move on from that topic.
No, I think we're always looking.
Shut up, Nate.
We're always looking for a new motto for the show. I think that's it. Be safe.
Just shut up.
Here at Talking About Birds, we care.
You
safe.
know what? We do care.
We do care. Be safe.
And if you need somebody to care for you, or if you need help, you can always give us a call at 848-48-BIRDS, and we'll listen.
That's right. Be safe.
Be safe.
Wow.
Let's end league news on a totally different note. I thought it was time to check in on this. Paul Goldschmidt, Yankees first baseman. He's playing mostly every day. He has a 156 WRC plus right now. I definitely don't feel any way about that. I definitely didn't call that this was going to happen. I didn't see this from a mile away. I don't feel bad about it.
I'm pretty sure we said, I bet there's an episode around this time last year where we were saying Paul Goldschmidt's going to be a fantastic Yankee. I think we've been calling this for over a year that this is exactly what's going to happen. And yeah, not surprised at all.
No.
It's a hitter's park. He's buried in a lineup of, Aaron Judge and others, the rest. He's good. I'm not surprised at all. We'll see if he keeps it up. For a while, it was kind of an empty batting. Like he was hitting high batting average, but not a lot of power or anything like that. The power has started to tick up recently. So we'll see what he does on the full season. But yeah, of course, this is working. This is the least surprising thing, this year.
I just want him to kind of keep accruing value and make that Hall of Fame argument even easier, because I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and him kind of having a nice start to the year in his age, what is he, 37, almost 38, is good news for that. I think he'll probably be a Hall of Famer either way.
I think it's done. I think he will get in. I think the MVP sealed it for him, but I certainly recognize he is a bit on the fringe of some of the numbers. So I agree with you.
His total game, the first baseman of it all. He's arguably the best first baseman of his generation, him and Votto. So yeah, I feel confident in that, but we'll see. And I just love to see Paulie G win.
Yeah, he is already. He has won WAR so far this season as a Yankee. For the entirety of 2024 as a Cardinal, he put up 1.1 at WAR.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Good for him. I want good things to happen to him. All right, that's all I got for league news. Nady?
All right, Hambone, I got a new game for you. Okay? I've been thinking about this one for a while. We're going to play Talking About Words Pun Edition.
Okay.
All right, pause for the little song. All right, that song, thanks again to associate sound producer Chris Phillips. It's a bomb.
Okay. All right.
All right. So, Hambone, I'm going to try to explain this. I have created a series of puns using current big league roster St. Louis Cardinals. Okay. I'm going to give you a hint to what the pun is, and you have to guess the pun. Okay.
Okay.
So I've created an example for you so that
Okay.
this will make sense. So this is using a non-Cardinal. Okay.
All right.
So this Mets pitcher may be seen hanging out in Quahog with his friends Cleveland and Quagmire. That is Peter Griffin Canning.
Peter Griffin Canning. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Do you get the sort of format here?
Yeah, I do.
I'm very proud of this game, but I have no idea if you're going to get any of them or all of them.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. When ordering pastries, this power-hitting first baseman always wants 13.
Lucan Baker's dozen?
Yes.
So stupid. All right.
All right. This lefty pitcher is happy to have you at his front door.
Stephen Dorr Matz?
Close. Yeah, Stephen Welcome Matz.
Stephen Welcome Matz. Okay. Yeah. Happy. Okay. I could have leaned into that harder. All right.
This reliever is a staple at a Mardi Gras party.
This reliever is a staple at a Mardi Gras party. This reliever is a staple at a Mardi Gras party. I don't know I feel stupid because this game is so stupid and I'm not getting this one. I don't know.
All right, you give up?
This reliever is a staple at a Mardi Gras party. Oh, John King Cake?
Yes. Yep, John King Cake.
Oh my God.
All right,
I don't know if I'm happy or mad that I got that one.
I'm proud of you.
All right.
All right, these last two are for you, Ben. This pitcher's preferred walk-up songs are Trap Queen or 679.
This pitcher's walk-up song. So you're referencing Fedde Wap. Oh. Erick Fedde Wap?
Yes. That was actually the inspiration for this game. Was I've had Erick Fedde Wap in my head for like I don't know, a year and a half now, and so like, all right, I got to make a game out of this. All right, one last one for you. Like this shortstop feeling a ground ball, DJ Khaled didn't miss with this track.
DJ Khaled didn't miss with this track. So I think you're referencing Mason Wynn. What track are you talking about? DJ Khaled, Mason Wynn. It sounds like you know more DJ Khaled songs than I do.
Google is a powerful tool.
Yeah, Mason Win. No, wait, is that All I Do Is Win? No, that's T-Pain. I don't know, Nate. I don't know. Help me out here.
That is a DJ Khaled track. All I do is win.
All I do.
So this is okay. All I Do Is Mason Win.
Okay. Oh my God. I'm gonna count that for me, even though I hated it and got it wrong.
I'll give you half a point on that one.
Okay.
So
yeah,
you got 4.5 out of 5, Hambo, and that was pretty good. I couldn't tell if you're gonna get 0. I tried to make them kind of clear for you by giving you like what type of player they are.
Yeah.
So maybe if I do this again, I'll make it a little bit more obscure.
And let's hope that happens.
I also thought about saving this one for when C70 is on as a a pun hero, but
he is the pun guy.
I just had to get this out. So, all right, well, congrats, Hambo. And that was Talking About Words Pun Edition.
Wow.
And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Talking About Birds. Thank you all again for checking it out. Links to our socials, our Patreon, all of that, everything can be found at talkingaboutbirds.com. birds.com. We just renewed that domain for a couple years. So until some bird watching community comes and buys it out from us, we're going to have it. Talkingaboutbirds.com. Check it out. The price is low though. We'll sell it. We'll sell it to anyone.
Anyone.
The price is there. And hopefully we have another good week of Cardinal baseball. And until next week, go Cardinals.
Let's go Birds.